Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode number 4 of the Fitness Devil You Know podcast with Michael Dietrich.
Shut up and sit down.
All right, guys. Well, welcome to episode number 4 of the Fitness Devil You Know podcast. I'm Andrew Coates and Dean Guido, my co-host right here. And tonight we have Michael Dietrich of FitMD, also on YouTube known as Moutain Mike. And we are talking outdoor fitness, no-nonsense nutrition, and we'll probably end up down a couple other rabbit holes while we're at it. So, welcome, Mike.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's an honor.
All right. So you've been working now as a personal trainer for about as long as I have, right?
Been in the industry for about 7 years now.
Mm-hmm. And you've done some physique competitions.
Done a couple, yeah, back in the day.
And you've played soccer, if I'm not mistaken, a few other things. I'll let you tell everybody.
We'll cover soccer in a sec.
Yeah, we'll get into soccer.
And probably the coolest thing you've been doing more lately is your Moutain Mike YouTube channel, which has taken off. It's been insane.
No one cares about your training. They just
yeah, I know, right? People ask me if I'm still training. I'm like, yeah, I train a lot.
they just want to see BearBear, the dogs, and going in the mountains, but you don't train anymore. You do, but you don't.
Oh, no, I train a lot. Hey, that's what everybody thinks.
Yeah, so let's start this off. So again, some pretty cool accomplishments, but I think one thing we skipped and what I alluded to was your Moutain Mike, your trainer. You've been doing this for a while. But you played national level soccer.
I did, yeah.
So,
I did for a lot of years. That was my entire life. That was my entire upbringing, and that's why I'm here today.
And I was going to say, how has it impacted your journey into fitness? But tell us a little bit more about that, just because I didn't know about it. Then I looked at your webpage, and it's like, I played national level soccer like it was nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it was one of those things that I don't like to check back too much in the past, but growing up, it was something that was every single part of my life for multiple times a day, every single day in my life, week after week after week. And every single part of my life where I'm at right now was all because of soccer. It led me to exactly where I'm at right now. What I did educationally, that was off a soccer scholarship. So it led me to where I am today.
So you played at Nate then?
I played at Nate. I played, national level, provincial level, a little bit of semi-professional soccer, and kind of all the way up the food chain all along until unfortunate injury took me out of my career just a little bit early.
Yeah, you're just like me.
I'm going to give you guys a little heads up and context on this too. Mike has an affliction with being overtly humble. He's not particularly good at speaking about himself in glowing terms. I like that humility, but I might fight with him a little bit to draw some of this stuff out because he's had a pretty powerful impact on what's going on in the fitness industry, and he's one of the most reputable and well-known trainers in Edmonton. Anytime I see a post on social media, someone's looking for a trainer, someone tags Mike's name in there. So,
did you go to school because of soccer? Like, would you have been a trainer? So if you wouldn't have played soccer?
Where it all led was it was one of those things, and I had several opportunities to go play soccer down in the States. Yeah. Because of circumstances, injury took me out of that. So Nate found out that I was open to take, and they made me an offer, and I thought absolutely no way, because I'm not a trades guy, and that's what I always thought Nate was. And then I heard about the PFT program, and it piqued my interest a little bit, but then they heard it was full. Because of, I like to think the quality of player that I was, I got flagged in the system and thrown into the program, kind of no questions asked.
That's sweet.
So once I enlisted into that program selfishly because I just wanted to be a better athlete and learn, because I knew soccer was starting to dwindle and I had a handful of injuries, that I want to know how to get better in every aspect of my life, because I always was training hard. I did enjoy the off season, and then it's for selfish reasons. Then I'm like, holy crap, I can actually make money doing this. People are going to pay me to do something that I love. And next thing you know, here I am.
Well, it's basically your plan B, because essentially, probably up until that point, I know the feeling because I played football. I was
like, single person wants to be a professional athlete.
And then you're like, okay, now what? Some people either hold on to it for way too long, or they're like, say, what's the next step? So next step was training.
Next step was training, yeah, for sure.
That's sweet. We'll talk about starting your own business and your Moutain Mike persona, but what was it like starting out as a trainer, fresh out of Nate, I guess fresh off of soccer.
Yeah.
Like, how was that journey, or at least the first few years?
It was really funny. For me, it was a little bit different. It was actually a really, really easy, smooth transition.
Yeah.
And it's something that every day that I'm thankful for, because, so many people, they try to get into the industry, and it is rough, you know, for so many different reasons. But I felt like every aspect of my life leading up to training, I was building, from when I was in elementary, I was always athletic. I was always kind of just like living that lifestyle leading up to the point of where I am now. And it was really smooth for me. I made good connections. I felt like I was just in that.
Where'd you work right out of? Like, did you start your business right out?
I jumped into the business right out. I worked
That's
at a
crazy.
small studio for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It was something I did not like, and I got out of there super early.
I was like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
blessed. I'm like, you're blessed to work at a big box gym? Like, what happened? You so 2 weeks and you started? Like, fit?
Yeah, I started going. I kicked things off actually in Vernon, BC.
Okay.
We launched a boot camp out there.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool. Like 12 noon, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We blew up a boot camp and had friends coming out to that, and that just grew and grew and grew. And then I started one-on-one sessions. And as I was kind of like getting all that buzz of the business over in Vernon, BC, my hometown is Edmonton.
Yeah.
So, people are inquiring and asking questions. They want to see what's going on, because 7 years ago, the industry is very different than it is now. It was still a fairly new thing.
Mm-hmm.
So people are like, man, I really would love to get on this. And then, as you know, in the Okanagan, once summer starts to end, everything kind of goes down the drain. So I need to kind of evaluate what my next move was going to be. So it was back to Edmonton, and I kind of had a waiting list once I got back to Edmonton, how I was going to transition and get into the industry. So, I got back, and next thing you know, I started to fill up a schedule. So it was really, really smooth. And I have a close connection with Nate and their graduates, and I get asked that question all the time, what it's going to be like coming out of school. And I'm a bad person to ask that question. It was really smooth, and I'm so thankful every single day for that.
It's like me. You're like always telling me, like, oh man, you don't know how you started at this like nice place right away. But yeah, I don't have that bad experience. Like, it's fast.
So many graduates, and you know what? I really, really, truly believe that I was in the eye of fitness forever leading up to the position I'm in. And if you ask anyone that's known me my whole life, training was, I think, what I was meant to do. So it was just a very nice, natural transition that, if you're out partying on weekends and just, you weren't involved in sports and everything, it's going to be a much more difficult transition into that. But because of my network that I had previously and good connections with a lot of people, it ended up being smooth for me.
Well, and just at that level of soccer too, the kind of skills you build in terms of preparation and drive, leadership, working out, like you're doing the career thing. You're just shifting focus, I guess. Like, it's not much different.
Yeah. And I think, so much of that, of like the leadership, the competitive nature, just being a personable person, I think you guys could both agree that how many people do you know that are either extremely knowledgeable, but they're not personable? You know what I mean? It's just like, we all know a lot of those.
Well, there's a lot of smart people, and that's great.
Yeah.
But like, if people don't like you, that's great. You're a smart guy with no clients
that's
no
right.
impact on people.
Right. And so knowing how to market yourself and put yourself out there, because, you could be a very poor trainer, but if you have a good presence, we all know those ones of like, the Instagram stars of the world or the weekend warriors.
Andrew?
Yeah. Let's
I'm not going to get
we're going to keep this. We're going to keep this
Let's just say
friendly.
I've seen more than a few dreadful trainers in terms of their skills and professionalism, and yet they were able to generate a following and consistently busy just simply because there's enough charisma there that people kept coming back to them. And it's almost astonishing to watch it, but yet it happens. And if it's improving those clients' lives and they're getting something out of it and experience, well, guess what? There's some value in that too. So,
right. It's very rare to see someone that's very well-rounded, that's educated, that's passionate, that lives the lifestyle, and so many different of those aspects that all kind of tie into what makes someone
plus
good
a
at what they
fun
do.
year in BC helps.
That's right.
So let's take that a little further. Now, we talked about starting out. How did you grow the business into something that was more successful, more sustainable? Clearly, you were pretty independent in this venture. And then stay popular when we know a lot of trainers get into the industry. The statistics are very grim on how many last.
Yeah, it's wild. So when I first started out training, I had a business, or I had a mortgage to pay and car payments and all bills and everything else like that. So I was actually working just like a warehouse job. This was eight years ago now. And, you know, that's taking up 40 hours a week of your time. So as I start to build my business, I realized what those 40 extra hours a week that I was putting into a dead-end job were doing to me. So I made the decision all of a sudden to drop that job and then rely on myself as my income, which is the best decision I ever could have made, because that extra 40 hours a week of not wanting to work in a hot, sweaty place really allowed me the time to get after and build my business. And I just bought a house at that time, so I was relying on myself to pay
sheer
mortgage.
necessity.
You went from one heat to another. Like, you felt the heat. Like, if you didn't make the money.
Oh yeah,
There's
when
no
you
house.
put yourself in that zone of discomfort is when you can grow the most.
Yeah.
I've always done well in uncomfortable situations, so that's I think why I thrived.
Yeah, don't recommend buying a house, quitting your job, and starting a trader. But if
As
you have the drive and you have the
man.
background as an athlete, you'll make it
I look
happen.
back on that decision and it's like, wow, that was good, but it also forced me to put every single ounce of everything that I had of like ridiculous work ethic at that time to make it all happen. But it was great. So here we are.
That answers the question pretty well. So now here we're going to challenge your humility a little bit.
Woo!
Okay, let's do
All
this.
right, your success and popularity.
Yeah.
Like, what qualities do you bring to this that have made you truly stand out? What are you truly great at?
Stunning good looks from my mom and dad.
See, he's not lying. I mean,
No, I'm kidding.
If you're watching the live feed, you'll actually see he's a pretty good-looking dude. But
No. Honestly, I think it's treating and valuing every single one of your clients and trying to do an absolutely best job you possibly can with every one of those individuals. Because those people really are trusting you, with their money, with their time, with their bodies, which is a very special thing to put your all into, helping them. Because so many people, it's about money and how many more sessions can they sell, and in a lot of those big box gyms, that's the focus, is to try to drive more and more
Sale.
Yeah, more and more sale to fall into a higher percentage. And for me, it was, money is always a nice pat on the back, but you know what, you guys get it when you get those messages rolling in of like, you really help someone's life. They really help, or you really help them lose that weight, and they've improved their confidence and so many of those different things that at the end of the day, you feel so good. And it's kind of that positive tumbleweed effect of the more people you help and the more positive everything is, you just feel so great. And word of mouth is a beautiful thing. It's just a absolute spider web network of tying in, with when you look at your clientele of like, everyone kind of knows everyone. It's a really cool thing.
I think you're hit a very key thing there too, and this is something I've noticed with the people that I know who have the best reputations, is that they do really, really well by referrals. Their names are out there, and yeah, you can't control reputation all that well in terms of what people are saying about you in order to skew it into something that it's not. It really has to be a representation of the value you give and how people talk about you. You simply can't fake that stuff.
Yeah, no, that's
and your
just
name is
so
out
true.
there in a very, very positive way, and that's why you're sitting here with us.
Yeah, no, it's just so true.
Yeah, I guess that's why a lot of people don't last. I know that sounds horrible, but that whole
Even
idea.
the
it's the
stats
truth.
coming out of Nate,
Yeah.
which are, those people can be extremely knowledgeable. They have a really, really good base.
Good
but
program.
after the first year, there's only 20% of graduates involved out of 350-ish graduates, including
Yeah.
online. And then after 5 years, there's 5% involved. That's crazy.
As horrible
stat.
as it sounds.
15 out of 350 people.
But you're talking about like big box gyms trying to push sales, but like money does play a factor. Like, you have these kids, like how old are you out at Nate? Like 19, 20?
1920, yeah.
Like, and then you bought a house, but like you're in the world, man. Like, you got to make money. So in terms of your journey, awesome, worked out. But like, I get it. Like,
You have to get out. You have to get after
You
that. You
basically
need to
just-
make yourself work.
you
But
have to make it work.
right, those big box gyms make you a slave to your work as well, right? Because when you're seeing a small commission out of what you're actually charging, you're having to put in these crazy long hours to make it happen.
Well, that's why I always tie it back. Like, maybe it's because of my athletic background, but you're already prepared for that shit.
Yeah.
You're prepared to put the grind in, because like you put in how many free hours just to get better at your sport. That little bit of extra to kind of make sure your career works is just an easy stepping
It's
stone.
like part of it is that like inner competitiveness
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
Right, to put yourself out there. And one thing that you'd mentioned before was, you know, how many people do you guys know that are just strictly advertising? Like, these are my prices, these are my sales, inquire with me. These are my prices, here are my sales, inquire with me. When no one wants to see that, right? That when you're doing good quality work, that's when it comes back to you. That, you know, with you guys, people ask me if I'm still training, and I'm busy as I've ever been, but it's in a different way, right? I feel thankful that I don't need to put that in everybody's face all the time. And, you know, it's like, it's nice to have that. Sometimes it is a reminder that I do need to put myself out there just a little bit more. But like I've been talking to Andrew before, and this is a little bit off track, but how people, they go and they just put them, it is just, you can't just go sales and sales and sales. Nobody likes to have that put in their face at any given time, all the time. When you give and give and give and then ask for something back, that's when things work out in your favor.
Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this, probably the best example in the mainstream right now, and he wrote a book on it. Jab, 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 right hook, or some, I don't know how many
I think it's
jabs
right
it is.
hook. It's right hook. It's right
Yeah.
hook.
There's a lot of jabs in there. And the essence is, and this is what you will see with the best people in the fitness industry, is there's a ton of free information, a ton of give. Our podcast is an example. We're not making any fucking money off this.
We're just jabbing the fuck out of you.
We're spending money. And it puts you in a position that if you give so much to people, then what's going to happen is sooner or later people are going to turn around. Someone today messaged me wanting to come and train with me based on just getting exposed to the stuff that they'd seen on my social media, and that's super cool. We're going to sit down, we're going to talk about if it's a great fit, and if it is, then we'll go from there. But I almost never talk about sales type stuff on my social media stuff. I've learned that I don't even need to. And you've mentioned big box gyms several times, and I've got a story I want you to share with everybody. We'll have some fun here. But I grew up.
I want to hear it now.
I grew up in that big box gym world. I worked there for 6 years, and I took a different route, and I was very successful by it. But I saw that sales pressure around me. So Michael and I met at the big box gym I used to work at. Now, Michael actually got his ass banned from that gym for
making me sweaty.
What did you do?
You got banned from World Health?
He got banned from it. Yeah,
How do you
so the old version. I got him back eventually, but tell him what you did.
Well, it's like I didn't really directly do too much, but where it all stemmed from. This is funny.
On your Facebook video.
All right, here we go. So where it all stemmed from was I had a client that inquired with me, and then she got pressured sailed at the front desk into buying personal training sessions. So she comes to me in all bunched up, and she was really upset that she, I think, paid what was it, like $4,000 in sessions, but she didn't actually want to train with them. They want to train with me. So I said, I'm sorry, it's a conflict of interest. So then all around at the same time, you know, I'm there and I'm watching a trainer just staring at him, flexing in the mirror while some client's paying him $80 an hour. And then another girl was laying on the floor drinking a coffee, and like it was just like that.
And I know who the two people he's talking about just based on
and
that
the
alone.
etiquette was so frustrating to me, especially as a student. You know, you're just so young and dumb. And so of course I made a video in my car saying, like, you know, these people are trusting you. They're paying you good money. Why don't you just pay attention to your clients? And I didn't even mention the big box gym's name. And in the comment section below, it was like, ding, 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 ding. I see that, and blah, 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 blah. So the next morning, I got a couple calls, and that I was banned from the facility, and on. And, you know, my first impression was like, you know, I've been a member of that gym for, I don't know, 4 years or something. You see me there every single day. Why not just pull me in and talk to me about it, opposed to just trying to threaten me out of there and then press legal action against me? And
it was the managers who were there at the time, and I referred to one of them as an epic level piece of shit in an earlier episode. Same guy running a multi-level marketing scam out of the place.
We're not going there, Andrew.
We're going to do an episode on that shit, I promise you. And not today though. And he just saw this, and no, he ran right up the chain, and he's the same sort of guy who'll smile to your face. They're going, "Hey man, how are you?" That's how he talks. Yeah. And yet he's the one who would have sold you out in that situation. I know that for a fact. So that's just the type of person he was, and that's the type of shit we dealt with back then.
I wish I would have saw that video. Because you ranted about sponsorships the other day. It was awesome.
Yeah. Oh man, you know what? It's
was
so
good.
crazy because after you've been in the fitness industry for so long, you see like I said, you see a lot of good stuff, you see a lot of bad stuff, and when you have to speak up every once in a while, you're not going to be friends with everyone. Right, Andrew? How good do you know that?
And I hope no one took offense that was actually sponsored, because it wasn't saying that. It was just saying you weren't willing to take 2 free protein powders or whatever, 2 free products for fucking like
People
10 hours of work a month, like 10 hours a month.
Mike's videos
10 hours of
anyway.
work a month.
They're in a different world.
And it's probably a little bit more if you have to deal with all the other shit.
Right.
Like,
First of all, you have a job. Second, why would I sell to my entire audience that I've built their trust and I'm just gonna sell myself short on a pre-workout and a protein powder like at $10 cost a month?
I was killing myself
Like,
laughing at that offer when I read it. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
if I get
posts a
sponsored by
month.
Costco, like their Kaizen,
100%, whatever they want to do.
like
I'll
$50 for
sell
like
my
that, like
Instagram.
I buy it, and it's $50.
Oh, I thought you meant Costco as a whole.
Oh, well,
I was
I-
like,
well,
if they
them
give me
too.
free groceries, I will sell them my Instagram.
But you can say good shit about them.
And we swore we're not going to go political on this shit, but now our government is going to tax your discount, right?
Yeah,
let's
now
look
your
at that.
sponsorship's taxed, man.
Oh man!
No
yeah.
fault.
Off to
Forget
the
that-
mountains I go and just
forget
living
that
in
rabbit
my
hole.
tent.
Basically, Mike has a few. If you watch his Instagram stories, he'll have a rant once every few months.
Maybe I'll rant more.
Yeah.
People love
I don't know
it.
who.
It's a lot.
Actually,
good.
I was
There's a
going to
lot
say
of
who
buzz.
rants more. You or our friend Tyler Malone, and we are going to get Tyler on this podcast in the future. He's down in Mexico right now, and he's
Yeah.
great for his rants.
But it's
Tyler,
they're like
I
it's
think
about
that's
once a month, like something to fire you up. But it was good. It was just
I need
something
to
that was.
get pretty offended or like annoyed of something. I'm pretty level-headed.
But it's just I
I have
see
this
that.
reputation for being like ranting, and I'm rarely ranting, and I rant a lot less than you guys do.
Well,
so
but you,
Yeah,
didn't,
right.
you didn't rant
Are you
on
kidding me?
Well, you
You're a
rant in person.
Yeah, right.
So now you hopefully you'll rant on this. But Instagram
I feel
stories
like
there.
it's
It
the
was
only
there for
way to
24
get
hours.
through. I feel like it's the only way sometimes to get through. Is
Yeah.
just you need to blow up every once in a while. You just need to get something off your chest, because it gets frustrating.
Well, there's a lot of that. Like if you even go through Edmonton's YG fitness hashtag, it's like how many people selling protein or this BCAA or this like pre-workout. It's like crazy. Like man, like why are you doing that, man? You ain't getting paid.
Right. And okay, I'm so glad that you brought up the YEG hashtag because I feel like this might be a smooth transition to what we're going to talk about next. So I was so hesitant. This is such an Instagram thing, but I was so hesitant about using the YEG hashtag because, for all my mountain stuff, for all my stuff I'm doing, because I'm going through and I'm looking at it's the booty pictures and it's the flex off pictures and abs and mirror selfies. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to use a YEG hashtag because that's not really applicable to what I'm doing. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm going to use it. That is fitness. What I do is what fitness is. If you want to power lift, that's fitness. You want to bike, that's fitness. You want to hike, that's fitness. Running, fitness, yoga, fitness, it's everything.
we need a separate
And it was-
hashtag YEG fitness porn for the booty
Right,
girls.
for them, it's crazy.
Another rant for
It is.
another day.
That is another.
I like to think of it as a mission to put out the good stuff and fight the battle that you're going to lose regardless.
Right, it's crazy because it's just so overtaken with physique and bikini and bodybuilding. It's like people forget there's more to fitness than those physique and bikini competitions. That you can do other stuff competitively. You know what I mean? And that's why I originally went in and got into the physique competitions because I needed and I was looking for a competitive outlet after soccer. And it is such a neat, easy, handy one to do because you can work around injuries. It's so good and so easy. But man, then when I checked in and I realized how unathletic and how horrible and how much you just hate it. I'm on a structured eating disorder, first of all, with absolutely horrible.
That's true.
Horrible coaching from a very reputable local coach or trainer, whatever you want to say.
There's nothing reputable about that coach.
Oh man, it was bad.
I remember who that was.
Yeah,
Fuck him.
Yeah,
He tried to steal a client from me. That guy could go to hell.
yeah.
On the other end, you could do powerlifting like me and be broken after hip surgery and then think like, hey,
Bench 440.
well, I've done well in powerlifting, but it was
Oh,
it
congratulations.
it hurt.
Yeah.
I should have picked aesthetics. I wouldn't have done that, but yeah.
But you know what I mean? It's just it was such an easy it was something everyone was doing, and I just urge anyone
It's
that's
big here.
thinking about getting into it, really give yourself a second thought and know that if you want to get serious about it, you're gonna have to.
We gotta do a lot of
to the-
questionable
yeah.
things, and I think that I don't know. It's just I think people look at that as fitness, which I guess it's one little sector of it, but it's really big here.
It's really
Now,
big, yeah.
It's huge. Now, there's a few things, and I don't want to go too far down this, but
Yeah, we'll get to
we
that
could all go back at the same time to one of the reasons why these commercial gyms exist and fitness is as big as it is someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who ultimately was,
Absolutely.
the original fitness competition, the bodybuilding. Arnold was in a huge way the reason why we have gyms everywhere, for popularizing all this stuff. So what the modern stuff has taken a bit of a dark turn. We see a lot of negative stuff out there. There's still some positive, but its foundations has probably still led to a lot of good. So that's definitely not to counter everything you guys are saying, because it's all valid. But I also, I think back to, like Arnold inspired a lot of us to get started, at a younger age.
But he had personality. Like that's what I mean. There was star power involved with that stuff. Like you go to that, like how many shows do they run? I don't want to bash on it too much.
Well, I definitely don't want to bash it.
Because, had a client in one, so I'm not going to be too hard about it.
For
a
a lot of people, it's fantastic. And there are people that are truly passionate about it and so good at what they do. But when you're going in and you're seeing hundreds and hundreds of people in these fitness competitions, do you know how there's a small percentage of people that should actually be doing them, right? That have, number one, the genetics that actually want to do and be there and know what they're fully submersing themselves in. Because anyone that's involved in those shows, they're 90% of the people probably shouldn't be in them.
I have this rant about, you can ask a lot of my friends. Like once a week, it's just like you have these sports that are easily accessible to anyone. Anyone can sign up for a show. Anyone can successfully sign up for a powerlift meet, whatever. Those sports are easy access. That doesn't mean that because you're passionate about it, you're going to be good at it.
Right.
And I think people have this misconception that if I sign up and work hard enough, I'll be good at it. But then you go to a show like that, there's hundreds of people, and there's a very small percentage who are meant to do that. And I guess everyone can make their own choices, but how much time are you willing to throw away to a goal that you may not be predisposed to be good at all, even if you tried?
Right.
It's just a lot.
I think there's another aspect too. You've seen the growth of the aesthetic competitions. Bikini and men's physique have made it a lot more accessible, and in a way, it's caused a revitalization of that. As I hate using the term sport, but of the sport.
Yeah.
And it's brought more to the real hardcore element of it, and brought fans back to it because it has become more accessible. I really don't think most of the people entering it have any business being there. These young women, especially with disordered eating behavior and very unhealthy body image, they really do not belong on a stage. I wrote something about this just a few days ago on my social media. Like, fuck no. And a lot of these coaches are out there very, very happy to take their money, feed upon their insecurities. They'll troll in these gyms. I see this, and there are coaches in the city who will walk up to women and they will say shit like, oh, you'd be great up on stage if you just lost a little weight here. Like, that negative pickup artistry type shit, except in a gym setting. And insecure women will actually fall for this crap. And there's some very, very notorious coaches who practice this behavior, and they get a reputation for it, but it doesn't stop them. And this shit works. And then they turn around, and this is one of my biggest pet peeves. They're selling drugs to these girls and people, right? Like, if you are coaching your clients, and then you're also, and this is the industry, and I'm going to call the industry out on this crap. They're selling the drugs to their own clients. They're making mostly the money on the drugs, and that's one of the dirty, dark aspects of that side of the industry. So I'm not going to make any friends there.
When I talked on that real quick, that was a really brief rant. Man, I got a flood of inbox messages of people saying thank you for revealing that.
Yeah, on your post, basically Mike said, like, for those of you listening, Mike had a post very similar to what Andrew just said, basically just highlighting the shit. And he just called. Well, I don't know if you called anyone out.
You just called anyone out. It was just a well-rounded of like, this goes on. People should know about this. If you are getting into a fitness competition, know that this is this side of it, and this is what goes on, and this is what you can expect to happen with your coach pushing drugs on you, letting you know that if you want to do well, if you want to jump up and you want to make the podium, make the top 5, this is what's going to have to happen, and they're going to be making huge money off of you by doing so. And I got a lot of messages from coaches saying you shouldn't be talking about that. You should, and it's just like, man, that's what needs to happen. right? Because I had no idea about that until I was fully submersed in it and getting pressured in and, ultimately declining that.
When I think that's the difference. There's the people who want to succeed and they would choose that route on their own, regardless of what their coach said. And then there's pushing it on people who have no idea what the fuck is going on.
Right.
And I think that's what that post was highlighting. And the coaches can get mad all they want. But
Well, the coaches are trying to protect their little circle. They're very, very good at circling the wagons and protecting their own.
But if they had good business practices, they wouldn't be fucking threatened by that shit anyway.
Well, and then doors getting broken open by this anyway, by more prevalence of online coaching, and people have more access to better service now. And I've often spoken about this. The dinosaurs of this industry, they're going to die off.
And I'm looking forward to
nice. They already are.
Yeah.
You're already seeing some of these people are no longer as relevant. They're not as successful with this stuff. And I'm smiling the whole way because they're just some bad people. Now, you know what? There are also some really great people too. But there's plenty of bad. So I don't want to paint them all the same brush. That's not fair either.
Right.
Okay. Are we hashtag rant?
I love that rabbit hole.
Okay, is everyone good?
I'm okay.
That's better than anything we scripted anyways.
No, I like it. It was awesome.
All right.
So, Mountain Mike.
Here we go.
Okay, passion for the outdoors. Was that always part of you?
No,
or is that something... Okay, he answered it. Or is it something that you kind of fell into later?
I fell into it later. It was really random how this all happened. It was just a friend of mine that asked me if I ever watched this TV show. It was an adventure TV show where two guys go out, get dropped out in the bush, have to try to find their way out of a situation. I ended up watching it. Was like, man, that's super cool. I'm going to try doing that.
I watched it this weekend in preparation.
Yeah, did you?
I was like, man, like it was fucked.
Yeah, it was. And I'm like, man, it looks pretty cool. I mean,
it looks
I think
cool.
I can do that. So it was just baby steps, and next thing you know, I just fully immersed myself in it, and baby steps. Now here I am, solo multi-day hikes, summer, winter, whatever conditions, and I'll go, just me and my dog. I'll take on anything. I feel pretty good and confident these days.
How do you plan your, I guess, season of outings? Like, do you have a plan, or do you kind of do it on the go? Because there's obviously things you want to accomplish, like just knowing you.
Yeah.
There's probably goals in terms of what you want to hit or where you want to go remotely. So how do you kind of go through that process?
Always at the beginning of the year, and certain things pop up of kind of like the bucket list,
Yeah.
Hikes and areas and destinations and summits that I want to get to. Sometimes I plan away and make sure I knock all those ones off my list, and some of them kind of come and go. Sometimes it's just super spontaneous. I load up the car and I have no idea where I'm going, and wherever I head off to in the morning, it might be Banff or Jasper or Nordig or wherever I want to go, and then wherever I end up, I just hike in and I do my thing. It's the spontaneous aspect of it is really fun, but sometimes you need to be a little bit more planned and calculated. Especially if it's a 3 or 4 day trip, you need to know what you're bringing for food and where you're going, what the conditions are like and weather. Because if you're not planning in that regard, you can get yourself, especially in winter, into some serious trouble where freezing to death could be a very realistic thing that you might be up against.
So you talk about a lot of things.
Yeah.
Who are your mentors that or maybe you didn't have any mentors. How did you figure out the process to figuring out the process?
Honestly,
does that make sense?
That was so much just trial and error, starting smaller, working up to kind of like a more medium approach, and then going out and doing whatever I do on my own, which obviously is not the most intense aspect that you could get up to. I'm not summiting Everest or anything or approaching K2, but anytime that you are alone, that risk for error is very, very small, or that room for error is very, very small. And so a lot of it was just, internet's a beautiful thing of just reading little bits and making mistakes along the way. And luckily, none of the mistakes have been too big that I'm still here.
You haven't died yet.
What's your biggest mistake? Let's go there.
Damn it. I would say it was just gear, to be honest. I'd say gear would be the biggest one, of just
too heavy.
Starting off too heavy, so like a financial drop of thinking you're going to be okay, and then of course, just like you guys know, anytime that you get involved with something that you love, there's always more expenses, and you can get something that's a little lighter for 5 times as much money to save a little bit of this and that. And
I was gonna say, you could look if you go look at his videos or even the stuff you do on Instagram, like you got like gear is expensive. I'm looking at there and I'm counting. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, you're carrying like a small fortune on your back for sure. Yeah,
it's just like those guys who do downhill riding. You've probably seen them all, like in Calgary.
I do that too.
Well, there's like $100,000 hanging off the back of their truck and like 4 bikes.
Oh yeah.
It's like insane.
Oh yeah,
not 4 bikes, but
yeah, they can be. My road bikes, downhill bikes, the whole collection.
Outdoors ain't cheap, man. Even though it is. It's like free if you get shitty stuff, but if you get really passionate about it and like it's expensive.
And that's the worst is when you get so fully immersed, it adds up more and more. But that is not to take away from people that do want to get out there and do it. That you as I get into it, I try to invest in the very light and more expensive stuff so I can go quicker, faster. But it doesn't need to start off that way. You can get a pretty decently priced setup for a good price. So yeah,
like for someone looking to get into it, I guess even just the basics, like how much you looking, like
if you went like $1,000, you'd have like a really solid setup to be out there on your own, which I wouldn't recommend starting off on your own. Obviously you want to,
but you did that, didn't you?
Or someone yeah
you did. I heard one of Mike's podcasts. He did what like any good athlete would do and not take any advice and just do it on your own.
Is that right? Live and learn. It's always like you should probably do as you say, not say.
That's your appearance on Shane Fennessy's Champions podcast. So Shane's a good friend of mine, and this is actually, if you guys are listening to this, and if you're actually looking for more podcast stuff and you want to hear more Mike, go check out City of Champions. And again, the host is Shane Fennessy. And there's a Michael Dietrich episode, and they get a bit more than we probably will hear into a lot of your exploits when it comes to mountain stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty involved.
It's a good episode, so I really enjoyed it.
You don't actually go alone.
Never.
You bring the dogs.
I've never went alone.
So I'm a dog lover myself. If you're not, you're weird, or you like cats, and then you're weird anyways. Do you like cats?
Andrew, I'm not going to go there.
My cat would probably kick the crap out of all your dogs.
Yeah, okay. Tell us more about their role. Because at this point, I would say their popularity is about the same as yours in terms of comments on your page. People are looking
Cats
for what's...
or
the dogs.
Oh,
your dogs.
No,
your dogs are
so
arguably more popular
Yeah,
than you.
You know what's so funny now? Because I'll be out on some of my hikes and like Bear's running ahead and doing his thing. And I've had multiple times now people go, oh, BearBear? And then they look at me and they're like, are you Mike? And I'm like, yeah. Like, oh, I recognize BearBear right away. I'm like, you're Moutain Mike, right? I'm like, yeah, it's pretty weird. But
so Mike has 2 dogs. One is a what?
Bull Terrier, which is my ugly little white one.
That's a Don Cherry dog.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then BearBear is a Shepherd Lab Husky mix, a mutt, but the love of my life.
And they're one of the reasons why people don't know you're training, because it's either you're in the mountains, you're biking, or you're doing things with your dogs. So how could you possibly have time to train?
Right. I know. I don't know.
So what's their role in all this?
Well,
the whole thing.
I just love them. I don't know. I'm just like a dad of fur. I don't know. They just find that place in your heart, and you just can't live without them. And if you want to like see me cry and get emotional, I always just think about that there's gonna be one day I'm gonna have to say goodbye to BearBear, and I want to make sure I leave no regrets with him. As crazy as that sounds, I want to enjoy every single moment and give him the best life that I can. So when those weekends roll around, a lot of it is for me and for the peace of mind of getting there in the outdoors and everything. But to see his happy little tail wagging away makes me pretty happy too.
And I always wanted to know this. So Mike goes in the mountains, takes videos. Why do you only bring BearBear?
Bowser, he has hair like a pig.
Yeah.
So I have taken Bowser before, but he, in the especially right now, if the weather were to flip and we were to get a snowstorm, man, that guy has no insulation.
He's done.
He is just a little muscle, and he would freeze. He's like a little piglet.
Is he anywhere near as agile or athletic as BearBear is to be able to conquer some of the terrain too?
He's more like a sprinter. Like he's pretty good. He's done some pretty amazing stuff with me before, but he's not as well rounded.
So he just sits home and is like, fuck you guys for having all these adventures without me.
Yeah,
he's looking at
he goes skateboarding with me, right?
He's looking at Instagram while you're away. You just see him like, oh
yeah, Bull Terrier Bowser on Instagram.
Cool.
So let's take this in a little bit of a different direction, and I'm hoping to evoke a little bit of a rant type commentary here.
Again, we didn't have any.
No, none at all. On our society that spends too much time hidden in cubicles, confined to the couch, in front of televisions, definitely on the electronic devices. What are your thoughts on that, and thoughts about people trying to escape from that?
I always think that at the end of the day, when it really boils down to it, you have memories and experiences at the end of the day. And what real memory or experience are you going to get out of watching a TV show or being on your tablet or doing anything like that? So, any time that I have my spare time, I try to get out there and have memories and experiences. So I'm just trying to collect all of those. Sometimes I document them, sometimes I don't. So I don't know any good story that I have about sitting on my couch watching whatever TV show. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I think that balance can definitely be there. But it does hurt me a little bit inside when you sit down and you talk with someone and they don't really have any hobby or anything that like a thriving passion. So it doesn't matter. Maybe it's yoga or Pilates or powerlifting or biking or whatever it is. If you can get off that couch and away from the tablet and put that away and just kind of be present doing something that you love and using your body. We have this one body, this one vehicle, this one gift that we have that should be taken care of, and you're just abusing it with this modern day technology that it's just so we need to disconnect a little bit more. It's something I believe so strongly.
Are you telling all of your YouTube watchers that stop watching your YouTube channel of your adventures and just
you just get out there and do it? It's I can honestly say one of the most rewarding things is when I do get those messages of maybe it's just someone rather than like the mountains are 3 or 4 hours away.
I was gonna say we live in Edmonton. Even if you're not in Calgary, it's still a day trip.
People think I'm crazy, but I'm excited to get up at 4 a.m. when I maybe would be sleeping until 8 on the weekend, and I'm out there and I'm having the best weekend. And even if it's just for a day hike, then you can come back and it's like, hey, what did you do on the weekend? Oh man, I went and I summited this mountain, or I had this experience and that. Where so much of the time it was just kind of like putzing around or going out to the bar again on Friday and Saturday, and it's just like there's no really good real memories.
When we live, and for those of you who are listening that maybe aren't from Edmonton, we live beside the Rocky Mountains. It's a natural wonder, and we're not far away from it. So I mean, to have that there and not use it almost seems like a crime.
When I'm in Banff or Jasper, I'm talking to people that are traveling from all over the world. They're venturing from all over the world just to see what we have right beside us.
Yeah.
A couple hour drive away. That if you went in and you picked up a couple of friends, it cost you nothing in gas. You have no expenses to go and do a hike in just the gear that you have, your running shoes and this and that. And you can go have a really, really awesome, super kick-ass day, and at almost no expense.
Well, and that leads to the next question. But essentially, not everyone's meant to be in the gym. Their route to fitness isn't going to be the gym. So, what are some ways that our listeners or people, anyone kind of listening in, can incorporate outdoors stuff or activities into their fitness? How?
Well, I think, first of all, you need to look at the demographic of where you're living. So that's going to change things a lot because this is based out of Edmonton. When you look around, we have an incredible river valley. So we have sets of stairs. We have endless trails. I don't think people know that we have one of the largest networks of trails in all of Canada for cross-country running, cross-country mountain biking. We have the river, which you can paddle, you can kayak, you can road bike, you can mountain bike, you can run, you can do stairs. We have outdoor classes. There's yoga, and it's literally
it's endless.
There's so much stuff that you can do. So if being in the gym isn't for you, I think any of us can agree that if you absolutely hate going in and being boxed in by those walls, and weightlifting and circuit training isn't your passion, then just find something that you love and enjoy, that literally in the morning that you wake up and I'm excited to do this. Because if you hate going to the gym, I'd say don't do it. There's a lot of benefits to it, but you got to find something that you love, and you're going to be so thankful once you find it.
Well, it's similar to the nutrition stuff we're going to talk about, but adherence is key. So if you don't want to do it, you'll kind of slum your way through it till you're like, well, unless you have a really stubborn attitude, you'll just kind of go through life hating it. But why would you do that when you could do something you like that's, even if it's a little less beneficial, you'll just do?
That's right. I even look at my own training that I do for myself. that in the summertime, I'm kind of on a maintenance level of 3 hours per week. I'm training full body 3 times per week, a Monday, Wednesday, Friday if I'm in town. And, you know, I'm more passionate about that. I'm more passionate about being in the mountains. So I keep up with my maintenance. I do my due diligence with that. And then my hobbies and my true loves take over. And the gym plays a huge role in helping me get better at doing those activities. So they kind of work hand in hand in order for me to excel in my passions the best way that I possibly can, because the gym is the outlet.
Well, I was going to say, do you, at this point, do you even, I don't want to say do you like the gym? Obviously you like the gym, but is that more of a gateway to do the things you like better, or do you still enjoy training? I know it's a horror, like, but
no, that's such a good question. I don't have any physique-based goals anymore. That used to be something that I had. I reached a point that I was happy with, and now all the training that I do is directly related to the things that I love and I enjoy. So I always, at the back of my mind, when I'm setting it up and doing my programming for myself personally, it's all directly related to how can I get better at doing the things I love, cycling, hiking, all that.
It's like when you played soccer, man. I'm building connections, but like it's
That's exactly it. That's, you know, when you're playing football, you don't want to just be good at bench pressing. You want your training so you can boulder those guys over to get through them. You want to squat so you can be faster, more powerful. And I mean, Dean, I know you were powerlifting, got out of powerlifting. For me personally, I don't know how you can just surround yourself with 3 big lifts at the core of every. And like, Andrew, talk to me about this. Of how do you guys?
It's
those 3.
So,
you know?
I think it's boring, to be honest. Like I'm doing all we're Anthony and I, my business partner and I, we're kind of coaching athletes and doing all these things. So we're running ourselves through the program.
Yeah. And
so I'm training like we did back in football. It's way more fun.
Super fun.
And we're doing all this stuff, and like I'm actually kind of invigorated to work out again, because when your one goal is to get strong, like strength is the only base to get. There's not that many, when you get down that far into specificity, there's not that many things you're doing. So if you don't like doing those things, it's that same idea. Like it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
And so,
and it's just playing with loads and tempo.
I was more stubborn in my approach. I just wanted to be the best. I was so narrow-minded, and I think I talked to you a few times via Messenger. I was like, man, I just need to get back to biking and hiking and doing athletic things, because I'm not doing shit.
Yeah.
And training was getting in the way of me doing that, because I'm like, man, if I go biking, I'm going to have a bad workout. And my deadlift's going to go down. It was almost like a cycle of poor decisions in my mind.
But it's great that both of you guys actually come from that perspective, because you'll be able to relate to clients who are experiencing something very similar. A lot of people are going to be coming into a gym environment very, very narrow in their focus, or coming from a place where they're not even used to the gym at all. You'll be able to relate to some of the stuff that they're bringing in, right? My experience has been different, because I've never competed on a stage or on a platform. It's never been my love. And I just lift for me, and it's something I've always really enjoyed a lot. So I'm not in that same place.
That's a more wholesome place to be in terms of lifting. And I guess it comes down to, it depends on your personality. When you're playing soccer, I'm sure no one could tell you otherwise that you were going to figure it out. And what you meant to give up happened to be probably social experiences and then time in the gym. And I guess I was just sick of that. And it's going to be nice to transition into a goal that's more, I guess, not competitive. Because my competitive nature, probably like yours, is just, you're not going in there to be last, you're going to be first. And what you have to give up to be first
sometimes it's things you don't even want to give up.
Right. And that's basically my rant, is that I don't get pissed off, but I want people to get an idea of what they're getting themselves into and what they have to give up if they want to truly be competitive.
And that's what I was saying with those fitness competitions. I think it's not bashing them. It's knowing how much you need to fully immerse in yourself and how much you really do need to be giving up in forms of, maybe it's athletic performance, it's, social boundaries that you're having, and so many different things like that.
To be good.
Bringing containers of chicken and broccoli and rice to weddings,
which is fine. Like I said, do whatever you want to do, but like
make sure that is what you want to do, right?
Because especially make sure it's what you want to do, and if you're not good at it, make sure it's really what you want to do, because like you're going to give up a lot.
Right. And I mean, and the other thing, because it is always biased when you're talking from my perspective, loving the mountains, going out and biking and cycling, that's not for everybody. Right. Andrew's not wrong because he hasn't been in that athletic standpoint and that he just loves going to the gym and he's passionate about it. There's nothing wrong with that. You at one point loved powerlifting and loved football. Football wasn't it for me. Soccer wasn't it for you. So it's like, you really just need to internally, personally look at what you want, do a little bit of self-searching and come up with what you want.
And I think a lot of people have a problem at being introspective enough to find out what makes them happy.
Yeah.
Because they just find things that are easily accessible. Like, that could make me happy. But like, figure it out. Figure it out first before you make a lot of decisions that, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being...
Sometimes it's a trial and error, right? Because
that's true too.
Fitness competitions thinking, man, I need a competitive outlet. I'm going to love this. And then reflecting back, I had to do it before... and submerge myself in order to learn how much I didn't like it.
Well, essentially, you wouldn't have found out about the mountain stuff unless you watched a TV show, thought you could do it, tried it. You're like, man, this is fun.
And then I hit the bang nail on the head.
Yeah. You learn something from television. There's the lesson. There's a takeaway, guys. Watch television.
As you tell people not to watch television.
I watched it once. I think I watched one episode.
And you just told us not to watch television.
Yeah. He's batting 1,000 on that. Let's shift it to some of the nutrition stuff we were talking about before and planned. You've got a good reputation for a lot of no-nonsense nutrition, a lot of practical stuff. I've shared your videos myself. One of them is great where you put Mio in plain Greek yogurt, and I got a ton of I had people coming back to me 6 months later talking about that video. Your thoughts on no-nonsense nutrition?
This is I feel like we could have a whole separate podcast just on this, but a huge part of where that came from was actually going in and doing those fitness competitions, and you're on this regimented diet of, prescribed exactly what you should be eating every meal of every day, and on and on and on and on, and seeing how much problems came from that, where it was just structured eating disorders for so many people. And I'm sure that you guys can agree and have seen it as well, that it is just so much regimented, structured eating disorders or temporary fixes or yo-yo diets going up and down. So getting in and finding something that is a realistic approach that you can sustain long-term is the absolute best diet that you could ever be on. Right. So when, in terms of my nutrition, the if it fits your macros or flexible dieting thing came into play. And here we are today, where flexible dieting is. Do you guys practice that yourself?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I think that, and this is where I don't want to bash people. There's a lot of information, but that made the most sense adherence wise.
I mean, there's so many different parts to it, but flexible dieting is one of the biggest beliefs for me, because it is well-rounded. It's long-term attainable for everybody, and it's something that I've seen huge success with, and for most people I find it to be a little bit easier.
Yeah, I just don't get stressed doing it. Like, obviously I've followed other stuff just to try it, but I mean, I always fall back to it because it's easy, it's simple. If you find a baseline, it just makes nutrition fucking simple. Find a baseline, subtract, add based on your goals.
It is.
And fit your macros to some extent. Obviously eat clean from, I'm like an 80-20 guy.
Yeah, no, of course.
Like a side story, Michael and I will comment on each other's cereal, which falls obviously into that 20% of shit. But it's just one of those things where, like, I still want to eat cereal. It's not going anywhere, and I'm going to do it anyway, so I might as well just make it work. Right. So that's kind of what it goes down to, making it work for you. Because otherwise, I don't know. I'm more stressed out like when I'm not on a structured diet. And structured meaning at least have some guidelines. Yeah. Because if I don't, I'm just like, I don't know. I just don't eat enough. Actually, I just don't eat enough if I'm not structured.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really tough question to answer because it is so heavy and there's so much involved in it. And every single client you need to look at as an individual, and there's no one size fits all protocol. So, if flexible dieting isn't going to work for that person, they need a little bit more structure, then obviously that's what I'm going to give them. But usually I like to start off with a flexible diet approach and kind of go into the back end work.
Just habits.
So much of the time I need to I feel like I'm the damage control guy that's coming in and fixing up metabolisms from, damaged fitness competitors, or someone that's been yo-yo dieting for a long period of time. So they come in and I implement some form of flexible dieting. And that's always the weird thing, is people, when they come into it, they think they're going to be getting something like so structured and so regimented. And it ends up being a little bit more general, especially at the start, than what they think. And then it just narrows in and funnels in. And as you funnel in, that's when the magic really starts to happen, and you can kind of tweak, adjust things little by little, and next thing you know, things are good.
Well, and do you like to teach habits a lot? And I know that sounds like flexible dieting is like the goal, but I mean, you probably address habits a lot of times.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's just so much to it, and it's developing the habits. There's so much habit based. It's like it's insane how much it is habit based, because so much of the time people are looking at like the eat this and eat that, and how does this food affect the body, and all the small little particulars, and they're paying too much attention to the small details and not enough attention to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's exactly that.
Yeah. Sorry, you get sleepy, man?
No, I was just fiddling with the Facebook Live we had going on.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, we're
trouble.
kind of streaming on Instagram and Facebook, just trying shit out. So
Just
hi, if you
new stuff.
just throwing the kitchen sink at this podcast thing and seeing what sticks. But
Probably hit on this a little bit with the last thing, and we wanted to know where you see people consistently struggle with their nutrition, and what are people worried about that really doesn't matter very much. And what are people constantly overlooking that actually is really important?
Yeah. I think the thing that people struggle with nutrition is paying attention to small details that don't really matter. So they're looking at, just little like, will this food work for me? Will that food work for me? Where they're not looking at the bigger picture, where, the king is calories. We got to figure out where your calories are. We got to figure out where you're sustaining your weight, where's your basal metabolic rate sitting. Once we figure that out, we can add, subtract, whatever it is based on the goals. And then from there, we kind of tweak, fine tune, and engineer those protein, carbs, and fats, and fiber, and then all, making sure the micronutrients are taken care of. It's all very, very simple, yet complex. I feel like it's, simple for us because it's something that we're so involved with in what we do.
Yeah.
But then again, when you look introspectively, maybe for yourself, you can kind of get a little bit hung up on what exactly you should be doing. So it's one of those things. It's like, it is very simple, yet it is very complex, and that's why that we have jobs, is because we've kind of mastered those small, fine details.
I think people come in almost expecting greater degrees of complexity. That's also something that they find very intimidating, and sometimes that level of simplicity is almost surprising. Now, people at the same time have a tendency towards going to quick and easy fixes, and they gravitate towards things like cleanses and detoxes, and we'll be here all night if we start going down that road.
Yeah.
But they're looking for that one food they can change, which, no, it doesn't matter the calories. And everything you said about both the calories and getting protein right, and also all this habit stuff, anyone who's listening to this who works with me is going to be like, well, that's exactly what I do as well. My approach is almost identical.
A lot of most of the people doing dieting stuff are usually some form of that. I think that where flexible dieting got its negative connotation is the people who are like, I can eat Pop-Tarts and get ripped. Partially not wrong, just probably not the best approach to flexible dieting.
Yeah, and that's
idiots
why
on Instagram just went completely bananas with this whole idea.
But
and the clean eating zealots, they grab onto, and this is like any ideological
It's
shit.
all the same shit though. Clean eating is flexible.
Any ideology, be it religion, politics, food, and trust me, food gets just as contentious as the previous two. People will grab onto the worst examples on the other side of their ideological spectrum, and they'll highlight it.
Well, that's why I try to stay away from saying, "Hey, man, like nutrition's not that fucking hard," because it's not for me. But I understand why it's hard, because you go look at flexible dieting, and that's usually the first thing you see is like all the shit you can eat, and they're like, that sounds good, but it's not really that.
Right, and the big thing is people are not looking from the psychological aspect of it, and that is where the nutrition role comes into play. That if psychologically we can handle that, it's not about the food selection, it's about psychologically how can we keep you on track, and people lose sight of that more than I could ever explain. So if there's a biggest mistake people make, it's not the selection of the diet, and I say that with quotations.
Yeah.
It's the psychological aspect of that diet and how they can attain that.
Well, it goes back to the same thing with the training. If you don't like what you're doing and it's not working for you, don't fucking do it.
Yeah.
Because you could find people who hate their diet, and like much like the fitness competition, there's no way anyone likes that shit, but they'll will their way through it because
right.
of the
And
goal.
finding something that is easy. People always want to have these boundaries and parameters put on things, so that when we come into play and then all of a sudden it's like you actually have openness and flexibility and you don't really have so much for boundaries, people kind of get freaked out by that and they want a little bit more. But speaking from experience of working with hundreds of clients and having a lot of hundreds of success stories, that I can tell you from experience that this stuff works. It does.
It just works, especially when you deal with all their habits, and then you add in something like flexible dieting, which when you have someone you're coaching, it's not that hard to implement at that point.
It's just sometimes hard to talk about it when you bring up that word flexible dieting. So many people get freaked out, and you're just like,
especially when they go look at Pop-Tarts, man. Like I said, the first thing is like literally if you go look at flexible dieting, #flexible dieting, you'll see more shit than you'll see good.
Or your power lifters with your donuts.
Oh man, but there's no sidestep. There's no way they're counting those in their macros. Like there's no, like it's almost like a movement. I'm not gonna get into that.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
rabbit holes.
Here we go.
You know my feelings on that one.
Yeah.
I don't want to have a rant today. I'm good.
We've had enough.
Okay, let's sidestep and kind of wind this thing down. How do you balance your career? Like you're gone on adventures. Like at this point, it seems like every weekend. How do you balance your career with that?
Well, I work very hard and very long hours from Monday to Thursday. If I'm in town, it's
Training, right? You still train.
Oh my god. Yeah. Monday to Thursday, Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
I do a lot of online work as well.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing of when I'm in the mountains or whatever I'm doing, I can always take that online work with me. So even though I am out adventuring, I might be in the tent or backcountry or just day hiking or doing whatever I'm doing, I can always settle down and address, different messages rolling in or address the online programming. So I try to have a really good balance with that. Speaking from experience, I know how many, or not from experience, but just being involved in the industry, how many trainers get burnt out and they can't get themselves back on track because they're working endlessly long hours, 7 days a week from 6 in the morning until 9 at night. And I think we can all be guilty for that, but having that kind of refreshment of getting out and enjoying your weekends. And Andrew, I know that you were working crazy long, extremely hard hours, and finally I'm so happy to see you taking time out for yourself and getting away. And even though it's fitness related, a lot of time is conferences, but you actually went away and you visited
Did you see my post today?
No, I didn't.
You should read what I said.
Oh, did you really?
Whoops.
Yeah.
I actually came back from that incredibly fried and cooked. But
Well, that's what I was going to say. That leads me to that. Like,
Yeah.
does like your mountain trips aren't easy? How are you not burnt out? Like just.
I'm excited. I think it's because I'm excited and I love them. And, there are times that I come back from a weekend of maybe it's hundreds of kilometers on a bike or just facing some crazy conditions. But I do try to come back on a Sunday so that I have a little bit of a buffer day before jumping into things, because it can be incredibly demanding sometimes.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think that.
All right. Well, I love asking this question because I'm a huge avid book reader. Are you reading anything noteworthy right now? And is there a book that, at some point in the past you've read that really changed your life, was really important to you?
Andrew,
I don't read, man.
You make
I can't read.
make me feel bad because I know you're reading everything at any given time. It's been a little while since I really picked up a book and fell in love with it. I am subscribed to the strength and conditioning research peer-reviewed articles, so I always do
Brett Contreras' stuff.
The
right?
Mass?
Yeah. So I always go buzz over and do my due diligence, keeping up.
You can't
on
use
top
that
of
because
kind of stuff.
Alfred's is going to be released before this, and his favorite books is research.
Oh no!
Yeah. So
Okay, it doesn't have to be a self-help business whatever book. What's your favorite book of all time?
Dr. Seuss.
Honestly, I love Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk. It's a short, quick, easy, simple read, and is something that I just feel, if you're going to be do something, do it your absolute best, your absolute potential, give it your all, put it into it, be passionate. And it's something I felt like I've done well. So maybe that's why it kind of speaks home to me. I do love that. I do love a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk's books because it does hit home. They're simple, they're easy reads. You can blow through them, and he's just so real and relatable.
Does he swear as much in his books as he does in his?
The thing is,
not quite as much, but have you not?
Funny enough, I've just as much as I read, I've never read one of his books yet.
Have you listened to his podcast? Have you listened to his podcast?
Yeah, I listened to some of his podcasts.
It's not as good as his little snippets in his live shows. I was like, man, you're actually really interesting. Then I go to the podcast, I'm like, man, you're really annoying. Sorry, if you're he's definitely not listening.
If Gary's listening, we're in a lot of trouble right now.
But his book, the books are awesome.
I'm gonna come on there and teach you.
Yeah, I throw that in my favorite. I do have a lot. I really enjoy the self-help stuff. There's different business books that pique my interest and everything, but I'm not as much of an avid reader as you are.
Well, I was gonna say you have no effing time.
You have no effing time.
I say effing.
For me, for a while now, that's been kind of my downtime, my leisure, and I recently sort of resolved to myself, well, I still listen to the audiobooks, and I'm going to work on strategically getting through the physical stuff, but I've made a lot of plans with people who are in my life, because I really neglected that for a little while, and I felt really kind of burned out and isolated. So, and again, that's what I was kind of writing about today, so just go check that out. It's on my Facebook wall. You can see what that's
about. I will, for sure.
And, so...
Where can our listeners find you? We've talked about your YouTube, your social media, but what exactly does that look like in terms of what's the best way to find you? What's the best way to reach you? What's the best way to get in contact with you?
My Instagram is a bigger one that's kind of gained a little bit of traction, and that's Michael Dietrich. You can probably just see that linked in.
Yeah, we'll link it in.
Facebook, Michael Dietrich. I do have my website, fitmdtraining.com. Not to take away from these guys, if you want.
No,
go to Mike, man.
We brought you on.
We just found out you actually still train.
Well, I knew this all the time, but this is where I always do this sort of thing. We brought you on here because you're one of the people in this industry I've respected the most for the longest. I traditionally am a bit of an elitist, and I don't necessarily hold a lot of people in that level of regard. You always have been that. I would comfortably, and I have told people to go train with you, and I want more people to know about what you're doing. I've shared your work. I'm comfortable with that. This is not a zero-sum game. I have been very blessed. I would safely say that I am one of the busiest trainers in the last 7 years at Edmonton. There may not be someone who's done more physical sessions than I have in that time frame. I think that's actually not an unsafe bet.
Yeah.
So I'm doing okay. I can really throw support behind my friends and people I respect. You are someone that I want people to know about, to follow. And if what you've said here really resonates with them, I'd like for them to reach out and actually train with you. So that's not a problem. So sell yourself, my friend.
Yeah, no, it's very cool to see that kind of overlap of we all come from different backgrounds. We have so much overlap, but then so many differences. And that's a big thing when people are going out looking for a trainer, because I know there's going to be those people. Make sure you sit down, take advantage of the consultation, go in, sit down, make sure you jive and they're right for you. And maybe it would be any one of us, maybe it wouldn't be. And you can also find me on YouTube at Moutain Mike.
Yeah. Well, where are you posting? Okay, before we wrap it down, where are you posting most of your videos?
A lot of them are Instagram. I do have the full length ones over at YouTube, which I haven't been that diligent of getting on top of.
Man, get on top of that.
I think I should, but you know what? I just don't want my I've already taken one passion to come on as full work, which is training.
Fair enough.
I just don't completely want to take on. I've had a lot of really cool opportunities and stuff popping up with all my Mountain Mike stuff, but I don't know if I want to fully immerse myself in that as work as much as there are a lot of really cool outlets. We're just gonna see how that goes and just let it cruise. If it catches, it catches. If it doesn't, I'm super cool. If it's just being for fun.
You're doing it anyways.
I'm doing it anyways, no matter what.
Cool.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. It was a wicked day.
No, this is good.
It was great to have you. Thanks again for appearing, guys. Thanks for tuning in and listening. If you love what we're doing, please share these podcasts with people that you think would enjoy them. Please subscribe it. We're still working on the iTunes subscription right now. We'll see if we can get that done. Subscribe. It's on Stitcher. It's on a few other platforms.
It's on Google Play. We have it on our website. We're putting it on social media. So again,
like our Facebook page, the Fitness Devil You Know podcast. And just keep coming back and listening, because we're doing this because we want to give you guys some cool info, to have a little bit of fun with this. We're not making a dime off this. We spent money on equipment and time.
We're in debt.
It's not.
Well, I'm not debt. This is a net zero project.
Yeah. But this is a passion project and a little bit of our fun too, and a chance to actually drag guys like Mike, and obviously we've had Dean Somerset and a few other people, the free fitness guys, on already to get to hang out with them. So this is a little bit of fun for us too. Thanks for sharing in it, and we'll see you soon.
Take it easy.
Thanks, guys.